to Hades, the reformer of hooker whores, and the bronze god, the one, the only, the legendary Chris Bay.
Good afternoon to the good people. Good afternoon to the bad people, friends and enemies. Good afternoon, boom, shakalaka to you all. I am Chris Base. BaseLine in full effect. We congregate, of course, every Friday because you're here. You know what time it is. 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. on the West Coast. Shout out to my man Wise All for this program simulcasting on Real Wise Radio. So, of course, it's free your minds to what time it is. Anything on your cranium, anything you want to talk about, anything you want to cut loose or bring up, you can have various ways to contact. So, for example, you call in the following number, 312-597-2106. Again, 312-597-2106. Also, you catch me on the YouTube channel, of course. That is the Chris Base channel, all one word, with a period at the end of channel. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, and make sure you share. You can do that. I believe in you. Instagram, I am the base. Also, continue to comment in the comment section. You want to comment and type in there in the peanut gallery, please have at it. Or if you are so bold, ask for the show link. I'll put the show link there into the comment section. You can be a part of the program. That way, come on the screen here, like myself, and there you go. Make it do what it do. Friday to Barbara Jean on Facebook Live, of course, you catch me there. And, of course, she's also on the Chris Base channel. Thank you so much. Yes, it is a happy Friday. Absolutely. I know Barbara Jean checks out WVON from time to time. And you know who I miss? Wayne Fields. I was thinking about Wayne the other day. I saw his brother, Cy, on social media, and I just remember how much of a great person he was and just a kind soul. And, once again, anybody had the essence of cool was definitely Deacon Wayne Fields, as he was known at one point. I had the honor, but it was also very, very challenging. Back in the day when WVON used to be on Kedzie, like on 33 South Kedzie, and I had the honor of filling in for Wayne. Wayne at the time was what we call production back then, called Imaging Now in radio, so production. So I came in to do part-time production at WVON. That was my first venture there in the mid-90s. And I worked every Tuesday and Wednesday there. And he was just a fantastic brother. He really was. And I remember him. I remember when the station had moved to 87th Street. This is no offense to where they are now. Where they reside now for the radio station. But my favorite was always 87th Street. That's just me. Anyway, and he would do a show called The B-Sides. So you play all this great music. It didn't matter what genre it was. It didn't matter what year it was. Just great music all the way around. And I remember one time we met up. Not really met. We just ran into each other at the radio station. And I think it was like, just bumping into people. At the time, I didn't see him for a while. I could see him again. I sat with him while he was doing his B-side show. We were just having a good time. Just having a good time. And I also remember when he would get on social media, of course, he would, very dapper, because he played drums for his brother's church. And that's when he started to, we call the sock ministry, because he would, kind of like hike up his suit pants and showed the socks he was wearing for that Sunday. The sock ministry. I wish I could continue something like that. I don't have any good. I didn't have any socks like he did. He did his sock game was on point, doctor. Let's see. Barbara Jean types. I miss Wayne Fields too. Yeah, he was that dude. Yeah, he was slick with his. It was nice, and again, just a overall nice soul. And you don't find too many people like that nowadays, from the standpoint of just who they are inside and not faking it. And, I have an issue over the years when people say something along the lines of, fake it till you make it. I was never cool with that phraseology. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people in all walk of life have been doing it and continue to do so. To fake it till they make it. I didn't believe in that. I believe that you just try to make it and put your hard work into it, your nose to the grindstone, and go from there. I mean, it's all faking stuff just didn't make any sense to me. I wasn't cool with that. I still it still give me the willies if I hear it or if I say it. That's a lot of willies. But yeah, it's just blah. But that's how some people operate. Oh man. Let's see. I will see Wayne at VON remote. The sock ministry was nice. Yeah, it was. Very cool indeed. Yeah, I had a lot of socks at one point. I'm just not getting my sock game back on point because when we had our family, my daughters were still my socks. Now I wear a size 13 shoe, so the socks I would get would be, of course, depending on the size. I would start getting, well, especially like athletic socks, 12 to 15 or 13 to 16, whatever that range was, yeah, for my foot. And I noticed over the time my socks were starting to diminish. And it wasn't the laundry, and it wasn't, the the dryer where a lot of stuff, gets missing at or get caught up in. No, my girls who do not have the same size shoe as me, thank God. But they were taking my socks away. Man, I had some great socks. I remember this one pair of socks. The NBA, I remember Charles Barkley mentioned this on Inside the NBA one time, which now the NBA will be on ESPN, about how great the NBA socks felt when you get NBA socks. And he was right. Those socks are the most comfortable socks ever. If you go online, I'm not getting paid for this, mind you. Just NBA, and then you look in their socks and everything, whatever it is. I used to get the ankle like quarter socks for me, but they were the most comfortable socks I ever had. What's up, Omar? Says hello, Chris, and hello, Barbara Jean, and happy Friday to both of you. Happy Friday to you too, sir. How you doing? So now that it's just me, yeah, I don't worry about people stealing my socks now, unless my nephew Caleb wants to come down and get some socks. Other than that, I don't see it happening. I hope not. But yeah, the socks I got are pretty well. You buy what you buy. I don't wear too many dress shoes nowadays. I don't really go anywhere to get dressed up. I would like to, but I'm still working on that, try to get out more. But yeah, Wayne was a fantastic brother. He really was. And again, just sit back and talking to him, and just it was wonderful. Let's see. So the thing about when you meet people, sometimes off the bat from day one, A1, if they're legit or not, or sometimes it takes time because you get to know a person on the job and then go from there. Let's see. What do you say, Barbara Jean? My belt used to magically disappear. Yeah, I know, right? So I can understand. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't know how they could fit those socks because they would look bummy on my daughters. When you put on a pair of socks that don't really fit, it just looks all loose and bummy and stuff like that. I don't know what their deal was, and so I don't know how that worked. The 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 ankle socks you probably get away with a little bit, probably, but yeah, I used to get on my nerve because my purpose was to build up a good sock collection, and I did at one point, but once again they were dwindling down in time. Ooh, we so help. Yeah, it's just one of those things where you think about your family at the same time. So going back to Wayne, yeah, Wayne was just a great brother. So yeah. Oh, help. So let's see. So upon the weekend, obviously, got any plans? You're gonna sit back and chillax. Oh, we here, my church, Kira Memorial, is going to have their last service on Sunday. The church will be sold to someone else. I was told it was going to be possibly confirmed into a community center. I hope so. And I told you before, the history I had with Queer is the following. So before I was born, my mom and her family lived in Bronzeville. She grew up there. And then years later, my mom was able to get my family a house, meaning my grandparents and my uncles and aunts. And so she was able, meaning my mother, to get a house in Chatham. So they got the house, and of course, everybody moved in, thanks to my mom. And right down the street, because let's see, they used to stay on 80th and King Drive, just like 81st and Calumet, right, just a block over, was a church, Creedmoor Memorial Church. And they converted from being Baptist to Presbyterian to be a part of the neighborhood, to be a part of the church. And my mom and dad got married there. My sister and me got baptized there. Um, I was a junior acolyte and junior deacon. Was there 3 days after week in church. Every Friday we were there for youth in action. Every night at 7 o'clock. Next morning at 10 a.m. I was in youth choir practice. And of course, church on Sunday. And the children choir would sing every fourth Sunday. And I pretty much grew up in church in the Presbyterian church. And so over the years, unfortunately, and I'll say this publicly because I really don't care how other people think about it. I thought that the people at career are not all of them, but the ones in position of power that held certain responsibilities did not want to pass the baton of progress to my generation that was coming up in the church. It seemed as though there was met with some blowback and pushback for some reason. That didn't make any sense to me. Why would you do that, especially if you say you believe in God and believe in the Bible, the King James version of it, and believe in some sort of spirituality and kindness? Why would you not want to pass the baton of progress to the next generation of people coming up in the church? This seems strange to me. And with certain people, no matter where they come from, all walk of life, I believe certain people forgot what it meant to be young. Think about it. Stay with me on this. If you're a person that got to the age of, say, I don't know, 90, and that right there is a big blessing. Look how many years you've been older versus younger. Now, that's just natural math. But you've probably forgotten what it was like to be young, of all the years you had of being older. Now, when you were younger, someone helped you, someone opened doors for you, you succeeded people over time, whether it was personal or professional. Somebody helped you out, somebody gave you the baton. How come you can't do it for somebody else? And that was just my take on the whole thing. Uh, Once again, politics is always local. So I remember we had this one possible minister. We were looking for ministers at the time to become the head minister at our church. And he was younger. He looked as though that he could have been a possible fit. I'm incredibly biased because he gave the he was the minister for my wife's homegoing, my wife's funeral. But I thought he did a great job. I really did, and thought that, yeah, Pastor Mike. I thought he'd be a good fit to the succession of being the pastor of our church at Queerrock. No, he's too young. Doesn't have any experience, and all that type of shit. I'm like, well, what? How? Again, how can people, you know, get to where they want to get to with somebody blocking them? You know, we heard the term about blocking your blessing. People are blocking your blessing in church. Now what kind of irony is that? Some of these people who are in church don't really belong in church, if you get my drift. And again, when you throw in politics and religion, people can read the Bible. Say, for example, you read the Bible, I read the Bible, and get two different versions of it in our minds, which is why, of course, they have Bible studies to clear cut go across what you may think as versus to the word itself and what the word means versus what you think the word means. Now, maybe you succinct with that, or maybe you don't. That's why you have Bible study. So, but certain people in this church just do not know what it takes to pass on the baton of progress to the next generation. Once again, I'm 57. So you would think that my generation would be up next, and we were. Take out the people who moved out of town and got jobs and started lives somewhere else, or take out the people who just left the church altogether. The ones who were staying there was not given the right to proceed and become the next elders, proceed and become the next. It's sad, and it breaks my heart. It really does. That this Sunday will be our last church service. This is one of the things behind it too. Was something to do with upkeep and maintenance and things like that. But it would have been nice had the church continued. So all of my history, especially my mom's history, other people's history that went to that church, will all be eradicated. Will all be gone from the standpoint of not having that place to go to. Now, I believe they're trying to find a future home for the church, or some people just may disband and go into other churches and become members there. We don't know. I think it's a little bit all the above. But it just breaks my heart, man. I think some of the stuff could have been handled better, but what can you say? Let's see. How you doing, Walter? Thank you for being here. Uh, the the process of something that's going to be let go always hurts. Always hurts, especially in a situation like this. That once again, growing up in church and uh, My wife started to go to church with me and my children. I stopped going there because again the politics and stuff, but my wife would drive my mom to church sometimes. And some of us, all of us would go together. So it varied, but yeah, I could not deal with that because it didn't make any sense to me. And like I said, I chalk it up to the fact that just some people forgot what it's like to be young. What it was like for somebody to help you out. Hey, you got this promotion. It's time for you to step up. It's time for you to step up. It's time, and people just forget. And they get in power and they really believe that, hey, I got this job. Why the fuck should I help somebody else? Yep. So there you go with that. So 47 signaled today that Chicago could be the next city to see federal troops amid his push to crack down on the crime across the country. During an Oval Office press conference today, the president met with FIFA President Gianni Infantino to discuss the upcoming 2016 World Cup, which is set to take place here in the United States. During the meeting, 47 shift to the focus of the discussion of his recent attempts to crack down on crime in Washington, D.C. In recent weeks, the president deployed National Guard troops in an attempt to crack down on crime, a plan he has since boasted as a major success. But during today's presser, he eventually narrowed his sights on Chicago, signaling his willingness to deploy troops here in this city. He said the National Guard has done such an incredible job working with the police, and we haven't had to bring in the regular military, which we're willing to do if we have to. And after we do this, we'll go to another location. We're going to make our country very safe, make our cities very, very safe. Trump ordered to send troops to Los Angeles in the uh, currently at the center of a legal challenge, and it's likely it will be the same uh, it as an attempt for here in Chicago. Trump went on to call Mayor Brandon Johnson grossly incompetent and said residents in the city are screaming for him to bring federal in help. Chicago is a mess, he said. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent, and we will uh, straighten it out next. And that will be our next one after this, and it won't even be tough. And the people in Chicago, the vice president, are screaming for us to come. They are wearing red hats just like this one, but they are wearing red hats, Trump said. African American ladies, beautiful ladies, are saying, please, Mr. Trump, come to Chicago, please. I did it great with the black vote, as you know, and they want something to happen. So I think Chicago will be the next, and then we'll help with New York. He is a fucking liar. He is. And the baseball cap he was wearing, the red baseball cap that Trump was wearing, it said on the front, Trump was right about everything with an exclamation point at the end of the word everything. Fucking lie. Nobody's screaming for nothing. Hey, Doc Sanders is baseline. Strike the key that would make Trump hit the ground running. Thank you, Doc Sanders. How you doing, Katrina? This whole thing is just, again, the man is a bonehead idiot and a liar to boot. I don't know about you. I mean, people live in Chicago. Have you heard any screaming for him to come here and bring the federal troops? Have you heard any screaming around here? Well, yeah, I've heard screaming around here from the standpoint of people in our city who are getting shot and murdered. We don't need you. In fact, the crime rate has gone down in this city. It has. So, again, when you try to just just lie your ass off to the point where you don't even know what the truth is of the bitch in the ass itself. Absolutely. Now, speaking of liars, let me address this real quick and then I'll move on. So this right here, I want to take a look at this. Now, I have no idea what that means going back to this gentleman. And as a matter of fact, we spoke before the show. He told me that he would not call me this name again. I don't know what this name is. See, that's a lie. This man told me before the show started that he would not call me whatever that's down there. And you know what I'm saying? He said that. I won't call you that. And what does he do? Type that into the whole thing. Now, he also told me that I'm not fair. So I invite him to call in or type in if he likes. Mr. Cannon, you know the routine. If you want to type in and explain yourself, explain yourself. Really. Or call in at 312-597-2106 and explain yourself. Because you said you weren't going to call me that name anymore. You're going to turn around and type that. All right. See. Despite claims of outrageous crime, Chicago saw a significant decline in violent crime during the first half of the year. Some local lawmakers are calling Trump's actions a political stunt. Of course. Let's see. Trump wide right again. Uh, Trump wad right again. So that's WAD. He typed there. Well, I don't know about all that. Well, first of all, I got to learn how to spell. Spell check. Now I get what he's trying to do, meaning Walter, he's just trying to stir the pot and things like that. And just come out and say how you feel to stir the pot. Ain't no pot to be stirred around here. Or take the opposition just to be doing it. Don't take the opposition just to be doing it. That's not how you feel. Don't fake the funk. Just if you feel that, hey, the man's doing wrong, meaning Trump, come out and say it. Don't sort of try to hide behind. Oh, you can't back walk it now. No, you're gonna try to do spell check. No, this is what you said originally. Trump wad right again. That you type. That you typed up first. This is the second time he has made such a threat. The first time, I didn't take it seriously. I thought it was just bluster. Alderman Brian Hopkins said of the second ward. Now he's bringing it up again, and we're starting to get concerned that he may intend to do something like this. It would be illegal, ill-advised, unconstitutional, and unwelcome. The alderman is completely correct in his assessment. Completely correct. This is not how this is supposed to go. This is goddamn ridiculous. Is what this is. It really is. And it's once again, like I said about racism, it's the never-ending battle. It is a stunt. It is an attempt to, of course, people to take their minds off the Epstein files. We know that. That's why people are still pushing for the Epstein files to come out. Actually, I don't know what Trump is worried about. What is he worried about? Let them come out. I said it before. It doesn't matter. You, the American people, the ones who have done it, already have justified this man's bad behavior. You made it normal. You made the new normal. So if he comes out having sex with sheep, horses, gorillas, if he comes out and has sex with 12-year-old girls, 9, 10, 8, 7, it doesn't matter. You would not say anything against this man. You will say great and will applaud it. You will welcome it. You will say it's okay because you already normalized his behavior pattern. 34 counts. Twice impeached. Ground by the pussy. You've normalized this man's behavior. So the tapes come out, and he's doing all types of crap. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be just fine. He has nothing to worry about, and to me, nothing to worry about. I don't even like the man. Honestly, he has nothing to worry about. Having sex with young boys, it will be okay. The ones who justified it will say and give him a free pass all over again. No morals whatsoever. None. I said, I don't know what he's worried about. You've been Teflon down all these goddamn years. What the fuck are you afraid of? Or you having sex with Mr. Ed or something like that? Is that what you're afraid of? Oh, that's not Wilbur back there. I mean, come on, doctor. Good afternoon, Ellie. How you doing? It's been a little bit. How you doing? How's everything in your world? How's your show coming along? How's your family? I said, I don't know what he's scared about. Dude, you got nothing to be afraid of. You have been normalized by the MAGA people. You've been normalized by the closeted Trump supporters. You've been normalized, mostly in the public eye. So if anybody has pushback on the nasty shit you've done, you're still gonna come out all right. You're gonna come out just fine. You've lasted this long. All the stuff that you've been able to again bounce off Teflon. Or you say, L, no morals. None whatsoever. None. And you and I both know it's not okay. You and I both know that it's a strange and erratic behavior. You and I both know that it's pure evil. But again, society, as I see it, has normalized pure evil. Remember the scene in Vampire from Brooklyn when Eddie Murphy plays the vampire and he shapeshifts into this minister, Preacher Paulie? Because remember he couldn't go outside because his hair was getting on fire because he's a demon and he's in church and everything else. Like, God damn! He had to go outside and everything else. He's preaching to the congregation. And what do you say? Ass is good. Ass is good. Everybody say ass, and they went along with it. Again, normalize it. So remember the part was like, evil ass, evil ass. You get some of the evil ass. Woo! Yeah, that whole thing. That whole thing. L types, nothing lasts forever. True. I totally agree with that, but this is going to be a long 4 years. And I said before, we're not even out of the first year yet with this motherfucker. I'm telling you. And excuse my cursing, but I get upset because the fact that he's winning bothers me. The fact that, again, he was able to grab ABC and get a $12.5 million lawsuit won to him. These frivolous lawsuits, he's winning those because they're bowing down to his knee. Once again, I used to work for ABC, so that bothers me the most. And then you fast forward again to CBS and Paramount, what they were doing to try to get, and they did accomplish buying Skydance Media under a Trump administration with their FCC. And of course, we all know the horrible news of the Late Show with Stephen Colbert being canceled next year, May of 2026. All this deconstructing and just a demolition through all of this. Why? Because he's thin-skinned. He can dish it out. He can't take it. He's a punk bitch, and he's ruining lives. What type of so-called president sits in the Oval Office, has a baseball cap on that says Trump was right about everything? It's a total embarrassment to this nation, to the office of the presidency. Now, once again, I don't like the person in the office. Obviously, I hate his guts. But just the fact that the blatant disrespect that he has, the grifter in chief. Trump ran on law and order, thus coming after Democratic urban cities with National Guard keep his base happy and pushes his mission. I know what you're saying, Walter, but his mission is to destroy. And then you're throwing all the personal stuff. Everything he does is personal. I said before about how people say, don't take it personal, it's just business. No, all of this is personal. All this. And not only that, just the whole line of rhetoric in general. When people say that, they actually mean it's all personal. And like I said, he doesn't believe in Law and Order for real. He believes in Law and Order, the TV show on NBC. That's where he's coming, because in his mind, reality show president. Not this real reality that we're in right now. He's living in a bubble, in an own world. People are yapping to him in his ear, and he's listening to it. Again, people screaming here in Chicago for him to bring his ass or the federal troops here. To what, ladies and gentlemen? Start martial law. I think that really is the main goal. He served in the military as a New Jersey elected official. Please welcome back to BaseLine. I love his content. The one and only George L. Cook III. How you doing, sir?
How you doing, Mr. Base? How you doing this lovely Friday afternoon?
It is lovely, it's a lovely day in Samunda. Good to see you, bro. The floor is yours. Go right ahead.
All right, you were just talking about Donald Trump, National Guard, DC takeover. Of course, everybody's discussing that. A few points I want to make on that. It's funny how last night he went out to quote unquote visit the city, visit the troops. But if you really cared about the people of DC, why wasn't he going to visit them? Why wasn't he going to see these quote unquote high crime areas that are going into black communities? Isn't that who he claims he's protecting us? He's just going out there. And trust me, every troop that you saw there was handpicked. There was a photo op. Everybody there was out of central casting to make sure they fit a certain mold they wanted to present to the country. And then also you were mentioning about him sending troops to other cities, and he mentioned Chicago by name. I want to know how that's going to work. Now, if if Illinois governor doesn't go along with it, says, no, you can't send my troops into my, what happens then? Can you call troops from another state? I mean, how does that work? And if you start sending troops from another state into another state, how does that work? Are you talking about, you mentioned civil war. Could that possibly happen? Could that lead to an armed conflict or somebody saying, no, you can't come into my state? So I would love to know how that's going to happen. I love that who would be in control of what, because even if you federalize the troops in Illinois, what's the urgency? What's the disaster? What are they responding to? What reason can you give to federalize them within the country to enforce law on United States citizens? That's what I'd love to see, that how that would work out legally, and if that could even be done. And speaking of other things that can't be done, he says he's going to write an executive order banning mail-in ballots, or disallowing mail-in ballots. Number one, he simply doesn't have the authority, because unfortunately, even if he doesn't want to admit it, each state makes their own election laws when it comes election laws. So not much he can do there. But unfortunately, there are some Republican states that will kowtow and bend over and do what he says. And the funny thing is, a lot of Republicans benefit from mail-in ballots. So I'm not surprised they're not fighting back a little bit more, like on the down low, like, hey, leave that alone. You just got these people doing that, and it's been leave it alone. So I hope they push back on that. I doubt it, because like I said, they'll bend over and do what they're told. And lastly, I want to talk about the Nicole Collier, my new hero, the new person that proves all heroes don't wear capes. What she did took a lot of courage. People are trying to downplay it, trying to say it was a stunt and all that stuff. Let's see you get locked in the building overnight by yourself for 24 hours. That wasn't a stunt. They didn't know when they got back, the Republicans were going to pull that bullshit. Like, you got to sign a permission slip, like you're some type of criminal to go to your house. What, they going to follow you to your house, to follow you to the grocery store, whatever? To me, that was ridiculous. And it's pissing me off that she was the only Democrat that said, no, I'm not signing it. The others that ripped theirs up the next day, that was performative. You had already bitched out. So you ripping it up then didn't mean anything to me. So I don't think she got, initially the story didn't get the coverage it should have. And then when it did, it was nice. But hopefully I was joking with my wife. I said, I hope that green jacket goes to the Smithsonian because she had it on for quite a while. And it could probably stand up by itself right now. So that was about so that's about it. Those are some things I wanted to just mention off the top of my head.
You mentioned about the Smithsonian in passing, and again, him trying to erase history. When you look at talking about slavery, almost saying slavery wasn't that bad type of reaction. Come on, you got 3 hots in the cot. You went on the sun every day. You got a chance to get some nice sun and sunburn and stuff like that, and everything was cool. He leaves out, of course, the whipping. These, of course, out the fact that we were slaves in this country and we helped build the country, not just Black America, Black history. Yeah, we are history. Period. Left out that raping, pillaging, bronco busting, all those type of things that I mentioned. But that was an unfortunate part of our history for over 400 years.
You forgot
and
about
so all you want to do is come along and erase it.
You forgot about feeding babies to dogs, raping women,
alligators,
all that type of nonsense. And people often, I hear people make their argument like slavery wasn't so bad. I was like, it was chattel slavery. That was the cruelest form of slavery practiced across the world. Other forms of slavery, children weren't born into slavery. Like other countries, you had a chance to be free after a certain amount of time. You weren't property.
Right.
And it's weird how they want to downplay. I know why they want to downplay it, because if they acknowledge it, they have to prove that this country is built on the broken bodies of Black people. This country would be nowhere what it is today, nowhere near what it is today without that free labor. Now, and the fact that you can't admit that, think about it, if you had a business and you didn't have to pay your employees, you would be miles ahead of your competitors. Same thing, but they don't want to admit that.
No.
And so when they say MAGA, I always ask them, when? Slavery? Jim Crow? When was this country MAGA? This country has never been the greatest, and it won't be until it acknowledges its greatest sin and does something about it. We could debate all day about what to do about it. You can go back and forth, but the first thing we have to do is acknowledge it, not downplay it, and not get upset because it hurts some mediocre people's feelings.
You can't get pissed off with something that actually happened. And again, it was amazing going back to the late great Malcolm X. He said that a white liberal is worse than any other person, because a white liberal will claim that they understand the struggle of at when he was using that time in the 60s, the so-called American Negro, but yet will turn around and benefit from what the families over the years had done for that white liberal to even have that conscience, to even have where they live at, to even have the money, because it came from, once again, off the backs of slaves.
Exactly, everything. And doesn't make you a bad person because your family benefited off of the free labor. Now you're benefiting off of what your family did, whether you want to admit it or not.
Right.
And a lot of these people that are benefiting right now, if everything was to start from scratch, start from zero, they would be worse than mediocre. Because if that's so much of a leg up, they don't know what to do. Like you see them all panicking now. Black people are calm because we're used to making $1 out of 15 cents. We're used to making something out of nothing. They're not, because they've always had a leg up. So that it's amazing to me how you're so offended. But and also liberals, I've been in politics. One thing about liberals when it comes to race, they want to do something, but at their pace. They're worried about how others will feel. Oh no, we got to work it in slow. No, you got to move. You got to advance. You can't stall. You can't stop. You can't call a timeout. If the ball is moving, keep pushing it. And they want to do it at their pace. What they're really saying is, I'm having trouble accepting this right now. They want to make it seem like conservatives are going to fight back and push back. No, they know in general, some people are going to have a problem no matter what pace you move, trying to make things right. And this country has yet to make things right. I mean, you did something for Chinese. You tried to do something for the Indians, but that was bullshit. I ain't going to lie about that. But you have done nothing when it comes to Black people. Everything you've done, I don't want to hear about affirmative action. I don't want to hear about DEI because white women benefited the most from that, which is something else they don't want to talk about. So nothing has been specifically to address the situation of what was done to Black people. This country would not be the country it is if it wasn't for us. And I would like people to go to the National Museum of African American History and Culture and start from the bottom and work your way up. And see how black people progress. That's American exceptionalism right there. So if that's what you want to teach, if that's what you want to show, then that should be a beacon. That should be a shining example of American exceptionalism.
When I was in college, George, I never forget my professor, and we were going over slavery. And out of all the history books I had read in school, this was the first time this was mentioned to me in the class I was sitting in. I mentioned earlier about bronco busting.
Mm-hmm.
So bronco busting was when they found out, the slave master found out who was the leader and head of their communities from Africa to where they were there. If they were the leader, and that it was most likely a male, he would rape the male, tie him down, rape him in front of everybody else to demasculate him. So that way, psychologically, they don't look at him as the leader anymore. Look at the white man as the leader, and not any type of being afraid and things like that. It went from this particular leader from Africa being completely raped in front of everybody, and then they would follow suit. It's horrible. And that's just one, of course, many, but I never heard of that before. Out of all the things I learned about in African American studies, that shocked me to my core. And not only that, of course, we understand about the house Negro, field Negro, and raping women and things like that. But to the point of that, I call it pure evil.
Pure evil, deranged, depraved. Who sits around and thinks of something like that? Who sits? You know what? Let's go outside and break these black men by raping. Who would sit there and think about that? To me, it's depraved, it's deranged, and let's not give white women a break either. Like you said, you mentioned the house Negro, and when they saw a light skinned baby, they knew what had happened.
Right.
Baby might, like you mentioned, I said fed the dogs, you said fed to the alligators. That's what would happen if the woman in the house, if she saw that little light skinned baby running around.
Right.
They want to make this image where the light skinned baby was accepted into the house. Nah, it wasn't always like that. And so white women were just as cruel as the men. It was the most depraved, cruelest form of slavery. When I hear people say, "Well, they did it in Africa too," I'm like, not like that.
Mm-mm.
Not nowhere near like that. In other
No.
civilizations, after a while, you basically was like doing a jail term. You did your term, and you blended. After that, you could blend into society. Some slaves in other cultures became political leaders. They became merchants. They became rich. You know, they did other things after they had served slavery. No other form was for life. And then when you died, your children were in it. It was cruel and it was disgusting thing. I mean, I think that's why they don't want to discuss. There's no way you can seriously make it look good.
No, you can't. I'm sorry. Do you have like a radio or TV in the background there?
That clicked on by accident.
Oh, that's cool.
That's like, there's no way you can make that look good or sell that story to make it. No. Your great grandfather and grandmother were heinous people and did some depraved things. That's simple.
You have to acknowledge the truth. I think it goes back to white guilt, and then they don't want to acknowledge it because, again, it is horrific. But it reminds me again about it reminds me of the scene from Malcolm X when he's walking to a speaking engagement, and the young white lady comes to him and says, I'm a good person at heart. I'm sorry for what my ancestors did. Anything I could do to help your cause?" He says nothing and keeps on walking. And that is kind of like that. Don't get me wrong. Not all white liberals are like that, but it's like a selective few that, again, take on the mantle of that, but don't want to go all the way with the mantle.
Yeah. They don't want the response. And you got to remember, when it comes to slavery, I always tell people is slavery is white history. That's not black history. That's white. That's what they did to us. So it's their burden to fix this.
Right.
They're the ones that did what they did. When you say, what can you do? Hey, you take that up with your fellow white friends. Y'all have a real conversation about race. Y'all don't make the person that discuss race racist. That's one of the greatest tricks they pull. You point out something is racist, you become the racist now.
That's right.
You just mentioning race. If you would stop mentioning it, it would go away. I'm like, you white people haven't been mentioning it for hundreds of years. It's still here. So how do you figure it would just go away if we didn't mention it? And they think because we see something on news or social media, black people suddenly go, "Oh, I didn't know. That's racist." Like we see something, and we don't know that it's racist until it's pointed out to us. That's what they seem to believe. Like we need Al Sharpton to walk up and say, "That's racist." Y'all get mad. No, we've all had shared experiences. We know when something's racist. We know when something's racist. And having that kind of, like Eric Holder said, United States is a country full of cowards who don't want to have a real conversation on race.
Makes sense to me. Let's see, go to the comment section. Good afternoon, Mr. Cook, and happy Friday to you, as Omar types.
How you doing, Mr. Montgomery? How you doing?
See, let me venture out. What's up, Jed? His math skills are also gone. You can't drop egg prices 400%. He said that. The Maxwell release shows that he gives no S legally. Please, guys, do a media movie show. Thank you, Jed. Also, Jed types, there was one paragraph on Malcolm X and ML King in my history book. What was it? I guess the senior year. Graduated in 1994. People need to educate themselves. No, you're right. And the thing about educating yourself is that you have to want to do it.
Exactly.
You have to want the knowledge to get better, to season your mind, to broaden your horizons, and to broaden your thought. That's if you want to. Some people get stuck in their rut. They won't do anything. They think they know everything at a certain age and don't want to grow. I think no matter how old you get, you're always learning in some way, shape, or form. You may know a lot, but you're always learning, and hopefully learn for the benefit and to learn more.
Yeah, when it comes to like history and stuff like that, yeah, it was 2 paragraphs, but it's up to you to say, let me go read something else. Let me go find out something. You have to take that extra step to do that. Like I said, I bought as you mentioned, I just bought this book yesterday. I'm gonna cover up this word, but it's Just Another End. And it's about one of the Black Panthers, Field Marshal Don Cox. I didn't know who Don Cox was, so I snatched up the book. So you want to learn about the area to see what they went through and what they did. But it's up to you to want to read that material, to take the extra step. I mean, I'm 2 paragraphs. That's kind of shiesty, right? I mean, normally you got at least one full paragraph. Or MLK normally got a lot more than Malcolm X. But I remember we were growing up, Malcolm X was treated more as a radical. So he wasn't in the history books too much. I think
No, he wasn't.
You might have got a whole page on MLK, and then it was like they threw in Rosa, Malcolm X, Harry Tubman somewhere over here. And that was basically your black history, even in college for some people. A lot of people, if they didn't go to a HBCU, let's be honest, if you didn't go to a HBCU, you didn't learn, I'm not gonna say that you probably didn't learn enough to really get into it. And I went to Virginia State University. That's when I started hearing about things I had never heard about before. You heard people come from history from a different perspective. But then even when that happens, it's still up to you to say, well, let me find out more. Let me find out why. How did we respond? What did we do? It's up to you to take those extra steps.
I've always heard of Malcolm X, but it was almost like taboo for a little bit for years I was coming up, living here in Chicago, because again, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad Nation of Islam was founded, stationed here in Chicago. Its main headquarters was here. Elijah Muhammad lived in like the Hyde Park area neighborhood here in Chicago, and they had businesses on the south side. I remember Shabazz Bakery, for example, that was on 79th Street, and some other businesses like some barbershops maybe, and some grocery store at one point, and all of a sudden it went away. Now, see, I did not know I was in. I grew up in the 70s and 80s. This is around the 70s and 80s when all of the businesses start to go away. That's when they had those lawsuits against Elijah Muhammad, and those secretaries were now getting the money, so they had to disband the bakeries and everything else because of those lawsuits. And even because my dad was the manager here at Air Lake Funeral Home on 79th and Cottage. Right on 78 was the Nation of Islam headquarters, right just on the same block, just over. And so again, all this history that we heard about, but it wasn't until like you, college, that I really started to hear about Malcolm X. I got the autobiography of Malcolm X as told to by Alex Haley, read it from beginning, middle, and end. Changed my life. Changed my life. If anybody showed the ability to change and evolve, was Malcolm X.
Most definitely. Like I said, I live right next to Newark. And you want to see a crowd of some people go silent, because we all know allegedly the people that assassinated Malcolm X were from a mosque in Newark. When that conversation go up, you can see people from mayors, preachers, political leaders, people that were alive at that time go quiet. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to discuss it at all. And that mosque is still standing until this day. But nobody, it's like that. They could be talking, 100 people going mile an hour talking. All of a sudden that comes up, everything comes to, people look at each other. Some people walk away. It's like, that's not discussed.
That is amazing. That's the amazing situation. Even right to today, I mean, Netflix had a great documentary about Malcolm X, and it talked about that. And it heads back to your neck of the woods, Newark, New Jersey. They circle back there, and in fact, one minister came from Newark, and the way they phrased it, the way it was moving in the documentary, it seemed though that he was jealous of Malcolm when Malcolm became the national minister, because he, meaning this guy, gentleman, I've got his name, was had known the Honorable Elijah Muhammad years before they became black Muslims, and I guess he figured that he would get that position, and all of a sudden he did not, and it kind of felt like some haterade was in the
Yeah,
system.
the way it was depicted in the documentary, it was definitely he got the spot I should have gotten.
Right.
But like I said, if you try to have that conversation around here, it's not going to be a very long conversation.
Amazing.
Not at all. People do not want to discuss that.
No, but see, you live in that area. I mean, all these years they still discuss it. Why do you think that is?
It'll still come up in conversation, especially you'll have young people come around talking about Malcolm X, and they find out such and such was alive around that time. They want to ask questions. They want to find stuff out.
Right.
They want to find out what happened. A lot of people saw that documentary, and they went to what mosque. They interviewed the mayor in that documentary. He was real coy. He didn't want to discuss it. His father knew everybody. So
amazing.
His father knew everybody. So it's like it's not discussed. But now it seems as if Malcolm X is getting more of his due when it comes to history.
Yes.
He's getting much more of his due. They just named the subway station after him in New York. So I mean, I don't know if I want to be named after the subway station, but it's a start. But then he's starting to get his due. People are starting to look more at Malcolm X, the historical figure. But that took a while.
It did.
It took a while.
It really did. No, and he got his just due, and you got to give credit when credit is due. I remember real quick, Ozzie Davis had an interview about Malcolm and how he, meaning Ozzie Davis, would invite black militaries of that time to come to his home, and Malcolm would show up, and Lorraine Hansberry and James Baldwin, all these dignitaries would come in, and they would discuss about civil rights and other things that were discussed at the table and things like that. When you look at just those three people I mentioned and other people in that room, it must have been like it really. I would break it down to a black think tank, and we need more of those. I mean, we need it now more than ever. I don't think it's going to happen, but it goes to show you when you really believe in something, how far you will go.
Yeah, we need a Black Heritage Foundation. And what was so great about back then, there was no internet, or there was no all this mass communication, there was no social media, and somehow they made those things happen. And nobody was like crazy rich like the Heritage Foundation, but they were able to get together and work things out and discuss things. Today, I think it would be too much of who's the boss, who gets the credit, who's going to be the person on TV, it would be too much of that. Well, who's going to be a leader? I could just see it now turn into a complete shit show. I hate to say that, but for every person that's there to do the work, it would be another one that's there just to get the shine on.
Sad but true. George L. Cook, thank you as always, brother. More information about you. Where can people find you at, sir?
You can find me at George Cook at AA Reports or George Cook at African American Reports on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Fanbase, TikTok, and YouTube. And in closing, I just want to say, everybody go check out Early in Earth. It's going to scare the shit out of you. All right.
Well, some people like to get scared of shit out of them if you think about it, depending on who they are. So.
No, but it's like the first episode is like that little. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
No, I haven't seen it yet. No,
I'm not gonna. Let's just say there's some monsters in there. There's some depraved individual who must have been beaten and shoved in the oven as a child created, and one of them is like terrifying. You wish you saw the xenomorph after you see this one monster. You wish you had to confront the xenomorph. So
you know what? Could you do me a favor when we sign off? Could you do me a favor and type it in the comment section so we can check it out so people in the comment section can go in there and see?
Most definitely, no problem.
Yeah,
but if you like science fiction and you like aliens,
yes.
This as far as how good it is, I will put it between Alien and Aliens, the first two movies. That's how it's a series, so you get to see more of everything. It's definitely the best show on television right now, but Let's say they didn't waste any money. The production values are excellent. It could have been a movie,
Now
but they
Jen
didn't waste
says
any money.
Jen said it rules Alien Earth.
Yes, they spent money on it. It looks like a movie. Matter of fact, if that it came out this summer,
Mm-hmm.
it would probably be the best movie that came out this summer.
But look, I need to see something after watching that shit with Ice Cube, man. I couldn't.
Oh,
I
why?
you know what? I was bored, and I like War of the Worlds as a whole.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been done tremendously over the years. I love the story. I love the content. I read it when I was a kid, so that has an affinity for me. But don't get me wrong, it would have been better had I got a better actor. No offense to Cube, but
Yeah.
still, because Cube is the same person no matter what role he does. That's just who he is.
Exactly. He's the one who's like The Rock.
Oh my god! But
No matter what
the
role he is, you just can't. That's The Rock. But and I'm not defending Ice Cube. But that was made during the pandemic, and that's why he was basically the same place. It was made during the pandemic, so it was
got it.
it was shot years ago. It's still
Yeah,
pure trash, but
yeah.
in his own words, he said it was a paycheck. So
Well, I'm glad somebody got happy out of it. I sure was not. I didn't see the whole thing. I had to cut like in the middle of it. Like I like the technology of the whole drones and
yeah,
the using social media to try to contact.
yeah.
All that was cool. I think once again had it been better with a better actor, him or her, to really sell it, to really believe it, it would have been a better flick. But no, dog, I couldn't. I was just bored. I ain't gonna be that bored ever again in life.
Yeah, but I'll put the Alien Earth stuff in the comments, and also check out 40 Acres. It's a movie about a post-apocalyptic Earth where a black and indigenous family moves. It's not so subtle in what it's trying to say, but a black and
Right.
indigenous family in Canada, nothing or animals are dead. You can't. So farmland is the most valuable thing on Earth. So a black and indigenous family has this 40 acres of land, and of course, white cannibals show up to try to take it. Not so much of a subtle message,
I
but
know, right?
it's like Attack on Precinct 13. It's crazy. It's great. It's
Oh
very
man.
violent. But when the cannibals come, it's one hell of a fight. So if you get a chance to check that out, check that out.
I will. Please post in the comment section so we can
Okay.
all check it out and everything. Once again, thank you, George. Thank you so much for whatever whatever. When you do your stuff on social media, whatever or wherever, whatever it is, it's always informative. So I once again salute you, brother, for doing that for us.
Appreciate you. I mean, it's not easy, and you're trying to find something that everybody else is not covering or not going into, and then trying to
Right.
find a way to come at it that everybody else is not coming at it. So it's nice to know that it's appreciated.
It definitely is on this side. Thank you so much, George. Talk to you soon. You take care.
All right.
George L. Cook III joins us every second and fourth Friday right here on BaseLine. I think I saw the promo for that. I want to say I saw the promo for that alien movie he's talking about. Yeah, I need to recover. Like I said before, when I watched the War of the Worlds on Prime Video, I can't get that back. The time out of my life, I really was bored. I just got out the bathroom, washed my hands, and I was just trying to find something to watch. I figured, okay, what the hell? So I did not know it was made during the pandemic. Now that George has told me, man, and no offense to Cube, but just the Cube is Cube, and like I said, he admitted it was a paycheck, but as I said before, it just would have been nicer if you had an actor in there that was that can sell the whole thing. Let's see. Check on a couple of things. Talk amongst yourself there. Okay. Got that. See that. Okay. All right. So far so good. So let's see. What's some of the movies I wanted to see that I can see streaming now? I saw the new Superman movie is on streaming service now. Might check that out. And the Fantastic Four. I haven't seen the Fantastic Four yet, but those two I'm looking forward to checking out. Let's see. You know what? Let me check on something. I have to do something real quick. So let me let me do this, and I'll be right back. So let me put this up for everybody to check out. And so let me take care of this real quick, and I'll be right back. Let me see if I can get the thing here. Okay. All right. Be right back. Stay tuned. Okay. So if you can still hear me, I'm gonna have to get out of this and come back with a new link. So we're gonna drop out of this link, come back with a new link, and continue the program. Okay, so I'm gonna drop out. Once again, stay tuned. I ain't going anywhere too much yet, so I'm gonna drop out of this. I'll come back with a new link and continue the program. All right. So see you in a few.